Oh my God, this is already messing with my head because for there to be light, usually it's way later in the day. And every time I look over at the clock and it's really early, it's like, this is so weird. It's really, really weird. Um, but anyways, hopefully I was making my point earlier, to move out of that magical thinking and to start being realistic. But you have to understand who and what you are. And most people are so caught up in the avatar that they don't realize. And that's why yesterday when I was talking about like soul, me, body, because the more you start realizing that there's more than one thing going on inside of you. Another thing I think that is so important for people to realize is there's more than one creator. There's the creator of nature. That is like the Big Bang. It's the energetic surge of power source. But then there is the creators of the avatar, who were the aliens that came here, because it was all sorts of different aliens coming here for a long, long time. And, it was just because kind of like out of laziness that they needed to, make some slaves to do their work for them. And then this reality, that's its own creator. That is not anything to do with the natural creator. And that's what's so weird is how many people think the natural creator is one that created the avatar or one that created this reality, which they're totally different. The real creator, which is a consciousness, which is energy, which is the source of all things, what things come from, is an energetic source. It's not an old man standing up there judging us. We are we are that. We are the judgment. We are the judgers. It is us putting the judgment out. It isn't coming from the source. We're the tentacles of the source. So we are what goes out and wraps around everything. So it's our judgment. It is, that's why souls are trying to learn to release those things like judgment and anger and hatred and all of the things that you go through in different lives. So you go through all these reincarnations and you learn all of these different experiences, which is to expand you, to expand your understanding, to take away your judgment towards others. Because once you go through an experience, you don't judge somebody. It's easy to go like, oh, I would never do that. But then once you get in the same situation, you would do things that you don't think you would do. So you learn about it. And that's why in incarnating, you also have to see it from all different angles. You don't just get to go in and play one part and then, say, okay, I'm done. And you have to play all parts. You have to play good guys and bad guys. Which there is something like my mom has been talking to this lady and she gets super irritated because, like I've said before, things become super obvious to some people because it's the purge. It's us being able to see things clearly. So some people, you can see someone's behavior a lot more clearly than they can see it for themselves. And a lot of people aren't comfortable enough to, call people out and say, hey, stop doing this. Especially when they get in this victim mentality. Poor me. I'm the victim here. They're the bad guy. They're doing this. If they wouldn't do this, my life would be so much better. They just get into this whole thing. Well, sometimes you need to call people out and say, hey, then change your life. If you don't like how your life is going, it's up to you to change it. There is nobody coming down to change it for you. It's when you decide you've had enough. That's your motivation to make a change. So, she's listening to her for hours and hours and getting irritated. And then, she'll hang up and then she'll call me and be like, oh my God, I just got off the phone, 3 hours. I'm so irritated. It's like, Mom, you're the one who has to stop that. It is not you. But she thinks like, well, I'm doing something to help her. But if you're resenting that, then you're not really, because energetically, you should be calling the person out. You shouldn't just keep playing this game over and over and over and over, because it's irritating you. When you're getting irritated, your soul is telling you, pay attention. I don't like what you're doing here. Tune in. And then that is the whole thing with this avatar and soul kind of merging or whatever, is to tune in to your communication. It's not just because when you tune in so you can hear what your soul is saying, your soul's trying to give you guidance. Most people just want to shut their soul up because they don't want to hear what their soul has to say. They definitely don't want to trust. They don't want to think they don't have control over things. They think, well, if I do this and I do this and I do that, then if I want this, then I'll have this. It's like, no, you're here to learn. And you're a projection of yourself. Yourself is watching you. So if you think you have control, no, there's somebody up there who has control. And it's not somebody who is out to hurt you. It is you. You are the one in control of you. But what it feels like when you're in the avatar, you get so caught up in this 3-dimensional reality of what's going on and trying to fit in, that you cut yourself off from your real guidance. You cut yourself off from what could more help you. Get stuck in ego and emotions and dramas and playing, this victim mentality thing and stuff. There are all different roles you can get stuck in. I mean, people get stuck in narcissistic, either playing it or being in relationships with it. But see, that's the whole thing with labels too. Because when you can let go of those labels and just process actually what is happening and not put labels on it, then you can process it differently. It's kind of like the same thing with at the hospital, how they just have a diagnosis code, and then they have a protocol. So do all these things. If you come in and you come in and you take one of these and it's positive, then automatically you're going to do this. Well, those things now we know are not what you should be doing. But anyways, that is kind of like the same thing that happens in you when you have a label. You just automatically see things in a way. But that is when you step back and you look, it's like, well, I'm not a label because I'm not that. I'm not exactly like that. So I'm a little bit different in this way and that way. That's why the labels are too confining. We're not all just the same. They want to make us all the same. But, they didn't succeed in that. They worked hard on it, but it wasn't a successful program. So, it's you coming out as an individual. And it's a scary thing to come out as an individual, because it's been such a controlling way to try and keep you limited and small and little. And when you come out as yourself, as a whole, and you present as an authentic representation, it's super empowering, but you can be super intimidated. You got to be able to take some daggers or whatever. You got to be like, okay, I don't care if this person doesn't like me, but because we've been so set up to, oh, if they don't like me, I better change this. I better do this different. I need to fit in. My daughter told me yesterday, because they're lifting the mandates here finally. And she said that, well, even after they do, I'm going to probably wear it. And I was like, why? Why? So you can prove you're a good person, Caleb? I don't like to say people's name. You are a good person. You don't need to prove to anybody you're a good person. You don't need to interfere with your own health and breathing to prove you're a good person. And there is nothing to fear. There's nothing that, I mean, the only thing you can do to protect yourself is to take care of yourself. There's nothing else you can do. Focus on your health. Focus on getting enough sleep. Focus on not getting stressed. Focus on eating right. Focus on doing some movement and breathing and controlling your moods and stuff. That's how you can take care of yourself. That is the only way to survive this. There's nothing that they're going to do for us that's going to help us, because that's who we're fighting. They're the ones that are trying to do us in. And the only thing you have is your avatar and keeping it healthy. And a lot of people have really, beat down old jalopies at this point because of all the poisons. A lot of people have taken in huge amounts. I mean, if you are a junk food junkie, like people who live off McDonald's, there's a reason why they get so sick, because they're putting stuff in it to make us sick. And anyways, now I keep thinking about Stella because it's so freaking cold. So I'm going to go let her in and try and gather my thoughts, because I still feel like I'm just going off on a bunch of stuff. And I don't know if I'm like completing it, making my point to the point I'm trying to make it. Because that is like, I can hear somebody talk about some pretty complex things and I can understand exactly what they're talking about. When you're trying to talk about stuff to people who are just trying to wrap their heads around, that there's actually ghosts, there's actually aliens, I don't need to be scared of them, then, it's like, a lot. It's like, things don't make sense. Like how there's just so much stuff that people have to go through that isn't going to make sense. And so I'm trying to not talk down, but trying to be understandable, because so much of the stuff I talk about, I'm still surprised. But, that talking about Michael, there's some people like, that's not right. She had kids. Oh my gosh. This world is going to be so many surprises for so many people. So, anyways, I'll just be right back.